welcome to week 3 in CIT48 AIT Fundamentals. And at this point, actually in the RL, in the real world, I'm at the beginning of week 2, which I'm happy to report I've met my goal of having 2 weeks of content by releasing this today. Again, I try to keep 2 weeks so that those of you that do work ahead, and I highly recommend it because working ahead has all kinds of benefits. I mean, stress levels, if you miss something, you can correct it, right? And so do that whenever your schedules allow. So I'm going to go over in a minute the work we have. So we have a discussion. This week's discussion is actually you sharing out the presentation that you've already submitted to me. Now, at this time, I haven't reviewed any of those. I've just finished reviewing the presentation, the documents that you submitted. But I'll cover how I want, how you handle the sharing in the discussion board itself. Okay, so this week, the topic we have on board is software development, which for cybersecurity, and I know by now you have all watched Network Chuck's roadmap for cybersecurity hacking, I think is actually his term. So it might be interesting to talk about, what's the difference between hacking and cybersecurity? Is cybersecurity hacking for the good guys, right? It's funny because the term hacking has got so much unfortunate negative connectivity connected to it that we typically don't use it in the context of being somebody who does good. But if you know and you've been around for a while, you know that hacking is not a bad thing. It's really about intent. But coming back here to the idea of what we have this week, in addition to what we're going to do with the presentations, is software development. And so this is an area I have a particular fondness for because it's my focus in what I teach now. I focus in the web development, as I've said before. And so I teach the web stack, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. But, understanding however you approach it. So for cybersecurity, Python is very, very popular. So, but having experience with programming, is important. And the reason is because oftentimes, and especially now with AI, I mean, some might say not so much with AI, but I say especially now because there's tools that you can use to automate some of the processes to detect intruders and track down. You're basically I apologize for who said this, and I'm going to use it. You're an IT detective, and in that sense, you having the ability to automate things, and you might kind of go, I've never done any programming, Rio. That's okay. I'm just telling you this career path, it is good to have some, and that's why we have, at least for this week, an introduction to what that means, right? But imagine so much of what we use. I mean, I could almost say all of what we use was created by somebody who was writing code, but anymore I can't say that because AI is writing some software. So most of what we're dealing with right now, as far as the code that let's think of Canvas for a minute, right? There's a company that created Canvas. There's many people that work on this product. Everywhere from, here's the new requirements that they're trying to integrate this year to here's the maintenance, fixing issues that are out there, doing support. So there's so many layers. Quality assurance is an important thing when we come to doing development. Testing, the ability to make sure that something that we've written is well tested. Sometimes as users, we feel like we're the testers. We're testing somebody's software. And the truth is sometimes we are, which is really a problem in a sense. But also goes back to the idea of automating, right? So when we can automate some of the tasks around software development, we should be able to make software better. I heard a stat the other day that kind of blew me away. It was actually, I think, Bill Gates who said it. He was interviewing Sam Altman from OpenAI, and he said now with the AI tools that are out there, programmers are now 3 times more productive. Now, for some people, that freaks them out because I think, well, that's not a career path anymore. And I've done a lot of research on this topic because I have students ask me all the time about this. But I think it's just going to, like anything, it's going to shift. There's going to be different types of jobs that we do. So, but I don't know the future. I'm not going to pretend as if I do. But more than anything, as you move through this week in looking at, right, software development, programming concepts, and Python, of course, is listed here. Consider, I mean, we teach a Python class here at City College. There's definite ways to get skill around writing code. And the thing I would warn, kind of give you a heads up about, it's okay to watch tutorials about coding, but the sooner you start coding, actually coding, the faster you learn because there's a concept in in programming, and I apologize if this offends anybody, but it's called tutorial hell, where people just watch tutorials way too much and don't actually get their hands into code because it's when you actually code that you learn. So, okay, so that's kind of my spiel about software development. But now let's talk about this. So for this week, and at this point, I've actually gotten a look at least for those of you who have submitted it, the different topics you've selected. And it's great to see such a variety, right, of topics. And so for this, what you're going to do, and this is why it was really important that you shared with me your presentation. So, because part of what I looked for was, did you share it correctly and was it formatted correctly? Because now, in addition to the presentation that you have created, you're also going to share out your document. So, in this case, you'll have two links, okay, that you'll share. So, you'll have a link to your presentation. And again, I covered this right, last week about how you create it. So hopefully that part's done. And if there was any technical issues, we've already taken care of it. So you'll have two links in here, and I do call them friendly links. So if you haven't heard me talk about this, it's the idea that, if you put in Canvas, so let me just, I think I'm logged on. Oh, actually, that was somebody else's file. That's what I get, by the way, when I try to go in to somebody's file, and if I can't read it, right, that is, hold on, let me do this. Okay, so in this case, there's two things you're going to be sharing with everybody in the class, right? So one is your document itself, right? So again, making sure you've shared that correctly, refer back if you're not sure. You can always, right, when you look at this, right, you can always open this. Just a quick reminder. Open, now I'm in Chrome, but open in a incognito, make sure that works, okay? So for both of these, so now in this case I outputted, I'm just showing you the intro file, give them the file name something like, week 1 presentation. You probably already have done that, so it's just helpful because you're going to end up doing another one and I want a different file. So in here, right, I've already copied that, so when I reply, right, my video or my research, right, and then you select, right, gotta get this out of the way, there we go. So now there's a link here, right, so external link. So by doing it that way, we don't get, I call this friendly. And you and I could debate whether this is actually friendly. It's friendly in the sense that it's just not so long. It's friendly in the sense that you can actually click on it. But as I had said before, and I just think it's worth repeating right here, it is something we all agree on, that we're not providing nefarious, malicious links, right? Because you do want to make sure when you do these links, you're not posting stuff like that, right? Okay. So you would end up having another one, and that would be from grabbing your video, right? So that cup there. Now this is actually for another class, but it's the same idea, right? So here, insert external link there. And again, right, Canvas should, depending on your browser, but it should, as soon as you hit enter here, it should give you that link. Okay, so then what are you doing? So in your reply, right, tell us about your experience of doing this work, right? And talk about the AI tool you selected. What's changed since you've begun this? And don't just copy and paste these questions, right, and put them in there. You're writing in narrative style, right? So narrative style basically says just that: narrate, give us your thoughts. Don't just reply to each question asked. So this is college level writing. So do college level writing. That's what this last one is. Okay, so here's the other thing is that when you're replying, right? So you remember you have to have this done by Wednesday. Really, by the time I wake up Thursday morning, I use this as your attendance post. Then by Sunday, do your replies. And really try to, if somebody already has a couple of students or at least one replied to their presentation, go to somebody else. That way, everybody hopefully gets somebody looking at their content and giving them feedback. Because I want you to ask specific questions, right, for clarification or just, and the idea is that you're helping them revise and perfect their presentation, right? So that's what I want to be sure of when you think about doing the replies to here to this. And this is not easy. I get it. I get that doing this kind of creating these kind of presentations and then sharing with them is not easy. I can just tell you, I think it's important because with the world we're going to live in and that we are living in, there are other skills that then become even more important, like the ability to communicate, like having conversational knowledge, right? To where you can just talk about topics. And how do you get conversational knowledge? Now, this is a little repeat, but you study it. You take in information, you assimilate it, you understand it as best you can. And part of the way you understand that is actually talking about it. Because then when you hear yourself talk about it, now, by the way, this is best done practice wise with somebody in the room, but we're not all in the room, so we're having to kind of improvise. Okay, make sure both of those links are shared correctly. Do this as far as your post, right? And that's it. Okay, so I think that's it. I think that's it for this week. Not as many quizzes this week, so maybe it feels like hopefully a little bit of a break. But the idea here about software, the PDF, right, software development, is a good one to spend a little time understanding, right? And spend some time. And if you want help or conversation about Python, come talk to me. All right, have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon.